All right, let's just jump right into this because I know you're ambitious. You have big dreams, right? You want to be successful, you want to make money, and you want to live exactly the kind of life you've always imagined for yourself. But there is this tiny, wildly frustrating problem standing in your way. You think you're lazy. You know exactly what you need to do, and honestly, you even know exactly how to do it, but you just don't do it. There's this massive gap between your knowledge and your actual actions, and well, we are going to bridge that gap today in this explainer.
Section 1, the laziness myth. It's time to stop the guilt cycle, because when you don't take action, what happens next? Guilt. It's this incredibly heavy, prickling feeling that just builds up inside you, because deep down, you know for a fact you're capable of doing so much more than you currently are. But instead of taking action, we kind of just let that guilt fester, and it turns into this massive weight on our shoulders.
So I really have to ask you directly, why do your biggest dreams constantly turn into this daily, nagging guilt? Slowly, this guilt morphs as weeks, even months, just slip right by. You eventually fall into this totally defeated, I'll let it go attitude, where you just accept that nothing is getting done. You watch the time pass, and the dreams stay exactly where they are. Just dreams.
And it's because this is a cycle we've absolutely all experienced. Think about it. A new year arrives, and suddenly, boom, new goals are made. You tell yourself, okay, this time, the gym schedule is completely fixed. I am going to study daily, I'm going to spend way less time scrolling on my phone. And for the first few days, your motivation is sky high. But then the old pattern sneaks right back in. Procrastination returns, exactly like an unwanted guest who shows up uninvited every single time. Slowly, a single day of inaction becomes a daily habit, and you unfairly slap a label on yourself, deciding you're just a lazy person.
Moving on to Section 2, the science of inertia. Because to bust this myth right now, I need you to understand a huge plot twist. You aren't actually lazy. You are simply stuck in a state of inertia. It's not a character flaw, okay? It's a physiological and psychological state that you are just temporarily trapped in.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we're actually up against. Remember high school physics? Inertia is a very simple fundamental concept. It states that if an object is at rest, it really wants to stay at rest. But if it's in motion, it wants to stay in motion. And what's absolutely fascinating is that this exact same physics principle applies directly to human behavior. When we lose our motivation, we are simply an object at rest, wanting to stay at rest. See, whenever we want to start a task, we don't actually need a monumental surge of willpower. We just need a small push. We just need that tiny jolt to take us from a state of rest into a state of motion. The real problem isn't the task itself. It's not the essay, the cleaning, or the studying. The problem is that we make that very first step overwhelmingly massive in our own minds, so we literally never give ourselves that small push.
So how do we break this? Well, it starts right here with Section 3, Shrink the Start. This is Step 1. You have to completely change the way you initiate a task, so we are going to build a step-by-step guide right now to finally break your procrastination.
We're going to rely on two core, highly mechanical techniques to break this inertia. First, you must shift your entire focus to only starting, not finishing, not the messy middle part, just the start. And second, we are going to use the 2-minute rule. Let's break down exactly why this combination is so insanely effective.
Just notice the clear contrast here in how our brain processes these tasks. On one side, we have total overload. You tell yourself, I need to write a 5,000-word essay, or I need to clean my entire room, or I've got to revise the whole syllabus. Your brain violently resists this. It just says, nope, impossible, I don't have the time or the energy. But look at the alternative, the small start. What if you just said, I'll write 50 words, or I'll clean for the duration of exactly one song, or I'll just open my notes for 2 minutes? Your brain easily accepts that. Starting small doesn't mean you're thinking small, it just means you're starting smart. Which brings us directly to Section 4, the 2-minute rule. This is Step 2 in our guide, and it's where we take a deep dive into the practical application of literally tricking your brain, bypassing all of that resistance and fear of tackling a large task. Here is the actual psychological trick. If you really, truly don't feel like doing something, just make a tiny time commitment. Tell yourself, out loud if you have to, I am only going to do this for 2 minutes, and then I am absolutely going to stop. Give yourself full, guilt-free permission to quit after exactly 120 seconds. Let's look at some specific, super relatable scenarios to show exactly how easy it is to implement this rule right now, today.
You don't want to clean your room? Hit play on your absolute favorite song and just clean while that one song plays. Don't want to study? Just open your notes for 2 minutes and simply look at the pages. That's it. You are tricking your brain into starting by totally removing all the pressure of finishing.
But here is where it gets incredibly exciting. Section 5. The magic of momentum. What actually happens once those first 2 minutes are over? Spoiler alert, in the vast majority of cases, you don't stop. Because the moment you start, you create motion.
Think about it like this heavy ball analogy. Imagine trying to push a massive, incredibly heavy boulder. Giving it that initial push is brutally hard, right? It takes maximum effort to break that state of rest. But once that heavy ball is finally moving, it practically rolls on its own. The momentum naturally takes over. Once you start for just 2 minutes, that momentum pulls your energy, your focus, and your motivation right back to you. You do not have to force the whole task. You literally just have to force the start.
So I want you to project into the future for a second. Fast forward and imagine where you'll be in just 30 days if you simply apply this small start method daily to your goals. Just 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 lines a day. Those big, ambitious goals that have been stuck in the mud for years, they will slowly, finally start getting completed.
There's this incredibly powerful quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that perfectly cements everything we've talked about today. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. The great secret here isn't that you lack motivation. The secret is simply that you haven't taken the first step. Leave the heavy lifting to the momentum. Your only job is the first step.
So, I'll leave you with this final, empowering question. It is time to completely shatter that lazy identity you've given yourself. Remember, starting is the first step to winning. So, what will your first 2 minutes look like today? Go find out. I'll catch you in the next one.